I'm Elizabeth Stephenson. I'm an entrepreneur and a philanthropist. I actually design events and plan weddings for my company. I'm pretty nerdy. I tend to be especially logical and pragmatic. And I had all of these big nagging questions about life, its purpose, my function, and humanity's purpose. I wanted to know why humans were made. Is there a God? How did we get here? What was the point of religion? What preceded the Big Bang? The problem I found in tracking down answers is that whenever I'd ask a person of faith any of those questions, they would cite holy scriptural references, which was annoying because I wasn't even to the point of believing in the Bible, yet they couldn't seem to go off anything but scriptures. And science could only take me so far until I was forced to admit supernatural powers. So I did my own research, came up with my own answers, and then put the debates to bed, settled with no real intention of doing anything else with them. Then years later, I found myself in this very bizarre conversation with a new friend when the guy started prophesying over me. And I didn't really believe that stuff was real. I mean, I guess if you were to press me, I would say maybe somebody out there somewhere does possibly have those special gifts, but I never expected to find myself in one of those conversations. He told me he saw me as a great teacher and that my gift for writing was about to take off, and I thought, oh, that's dumb and kind of crazy, but nice, and I'm not a writer. Funny enough, though, about 2 weeks later, I was staying home from church and reading a book I read every year at Christmas, and all of a sudden, it was like a whole new grand plan for my life just suddenly got shoved into my brain. I grabbed a bunch of index cards and a pen, and I started writing down all of my thoughts. I could barely keep up. I would step aside in dance class and write down more notes. I'd be dictating on my phone in the car. I had index cards stashed all over my house, and by the time it finally stopped, I knew I had almost an entire book written for me. I spent the next 15 months researching my words, fact-checking my ideas, and filling in any holes with experts' guidance. Honestly, though, this isn't my idea of a good time. I actually never intended to be a writer, but the content formed itself and it gelled so quickly, I couldn't help but put it on paper. All of the unrelated, scrambled pieces of my life had suddenly and divinely arranged themselves into a clear message that brings me here today. And once it started rolling, my purpose became increasingly clear and the message became more exciting, and I knew I was on to something big that I was supposed to share with people. It was so clear because I know I wasn't alone in those struggles with big questions. For a long time, I had noticed how many other people I knew felt similarly trapped in between scientific history and faith, religious or otherwise, unable to find solid answers. We understand so much about history and science. It makes sense. It's logical, rational, clear. But at the same time, I've noticed most of us want to have faith in something bigger and more meaningful than what that can offer us. Plus, science especially has a lot of its own holes and inexplicable problems, which still required faith just in human intellect rather than in a higher power. We all have to have faith in something, be it Yahweh or the power of gravity alone. Like the puzzle pieces weren't fitting together properly to make a complete picture, there were huge holes which no one was discussing, not just between science and religion, but history and anthropology, physics and sociology, theism and atheism. No one was talking about the big picture stuff. And we all know people who are incredibly devout in their religious beliefs, and it seems like whatever information they have is enough to satisfy them. But if you're like me, you need some legitimate answers before you can move forward. Usually the first question myself and others have is in regards to the creation of the universe. We've heard assorted theories ranging from gravity to Egyptian pantheons and intelligent design. You may have even heard some very credible arguments that there is an intelligent designer, but no one has continued to roll that thought out and connected it to religion and used historical evidence to display his power. So even the identity of the creator gets stuck somewhere between God Almighty and laboratories. So I'll start there and then roll it out, showing you a complete picture. Then when it's all laid out, you'll see that there is an intelligent designer who created this universe to have a loving relationship with you, and that nothing that has been discovered about the universe or occurred in history conflicts with what's currently written in Holy Scriptures. I intend to use it all to show anyone who is wondering how surprisingly, incredibly, beautifully, thoughtfully, and intentionally made our brains and humanity's cumulative knowledge of all areas of life are actually linked and answer those big burning questions at the same time. I was able to rearrange the information in a new way that allows faith to shine, and used history, anthropology, genetics, all that stuff, and the sciences to do it. I agree with agnostic Dr. Francis Collins. Science is not threatened by God. It is enhanced, and God is most certainly not threatened by science. He made it all possible. There was this one time I was in college when the dean of students showed up to substitute teach my biology class. I'm pretty sure the guy was just punting his lesson plan, so he had us order the scientific fields of study from smallest to biggest, moving from chemistry to physics to anatomy and environmental science and geography, then astronomy and so on. It was the most enlightening science class I had ever been to. I had actually passionately hated the sciences before that, but in that 1 hour, it suddenly all made sense why it was being taught. To relate, let's use the Bible. With good reason, the Bible was not written in chronological order. It wasn't even pieced together in chronological order on purpose. The story it tells doesn't go in order either. If I were to say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, He was with God in the beginning, without any previous biblical knowledge, my audience would be incredibly confused. As such, that verse comes about 2/3 of the way through the entire book. It had to lay a lot of groundwork first. So just like the dean did for me, my plan is to put things in order for you. I want to break through non-religious and religious teams to try and retell the greatest story ever told in chronological order, rolling its applications backwards and forward to show that there are reasonable and considered explanations for the biggest curiosities in life. I have enormous respect for the Holy Scriptures. It's just that due to my position in 2018, I'm able to apply what they say and continue to explain their applications through modern language. To do that, I created 9 chapter lectures. Each video is compounding ideas in chronological order. I get to reorder things because I'm presupposing that you at least have a working knowledge of modern high school sciences, histories, and other religious beliefs to reference words like baptism or gravity without having to lay entirely fresh tracks and explain everything. So the groundwork's already been laid for me. I want to be clear though, I'm not presenting any new teachings. I'm attempting to help you connect the dots in a comprehensive, research-driven approach in a way that works for me and may potentially work for you as well. It's the realignment of other people's existing ideas that feels revolutionary to me. All I had to do was make some connectors. One of the things I found surprising about my work was how much material and research was already there. Each idea had been thoroughly studied and shared by previous scholars, just waiting to be gathered. Now through the glorious internet, the sharing of knowledge provided me with the tools necessary to easily collect such previously disjointed ideas and concepts. Sorting it and understanding it took the most time. I was determined to only use credible resources, nothing obscure or secretive. It had to be widely accepted as reliable. But before moving too far ahead of myself, allow me to lay some groundwork of my own. First, dates, devious little bastards. Nailing down dates of origin was one of the hardest parts of this project. My research yielded citations with sometimes even billions of years in discrepancies, in which case I literally averaged all of the optional dates to move along. Secondly, especially as I dive into ancient religion, noting myths and different conflicting stories, know that there are many different versions of similar tales. So you might have heard the story differently than I may share it. So that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that there's a myriad of options to choose from, but all vaguely related at least. Additionally, especially when discussing religion, science, and history, there are many potential contentious viewpoints under the same title. Furthermore, connotations and denotations of my every word choice could innocently land me in offensive territory. I'm not trying to offend anyone. These are unusually passionate topics for many people. I know that likewise, a few ugly listeners could passionately tear me apart. People on the internet are like that nowadays. So just, be nice. As much as I've really been excited to share my work, I've also grown increasingly scared of the inevitable backlash. I actually had to take several months break so I could grow some balls to do this for people. I know that not everyone is ready or willing to hear something new and potentially challenging. So all I ask of you is to please be respectful and open-minded. Just try and listen through to the end before making your mind up about any of these ideas. Let me remind you that the Facebook comment section is not the proper forum for deliberation. If you disagree with me, don't just take my word for it. Be a scientist. Research it for yourself. Go to a library or mosque, a synagogue or church, a laboratory. Be open with loved ones. Ask for help. Never be afraid to ask questions. I applaud anyone's skepticism and desire for knowledge. This isn't a problem of faithlessness, as some cynics may make you feel. Even Mary, the mother of Jesus, asked, "How can this be?" when an angel visited her. Your curiosity and questions aren't sinful. It's because you were wonderfully created to be especially curious. So dive on in. I think he actually takes joy in watching curious minds make new discoveries. Picture Christmas morning. Parents don't tell Junior what's inside all of the boxes. Parents watch with delight as their kid unwraps things. It's called progressive revelation. Not everything is revealed up front. The only wrong thing would be not to question, not to research, not to be open to learning. Then, once you've done your research, hold your knowledge and connections with an open hand. We're more open-minded than ever, but at the same time, there seems to be this competitive, ugly spirit driving people apart. So it's very important that you understand there are no winners or losers, correct or incorrect people. This is not a battle of better and best religions, intellect or stupidity. We're all one, united under our humanity. There's so much unity available as we band together to find love and shared purpose. We're all just trying to figure it out. Assorted perspectives of an object help us to more easily understand, define, and describe the object. So, for example, boxed water. If I were to have you guys describe this object, you would say it says boxed water. And I would say, no, it says water. It's got a SKU number, an expiration date. Maybe somebody over here from this perspective would say, no, it says hello. And we could all look at each other and say, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And yet, if we're instead open-minded to listening to your perspective and their perspective and their perspective, we're going to get a more complete description, an idea of the object itself. The Creator's like that. He'll reveal his faces differently to people. And we just have to be open-minded enough and loving enough to listen humbly to other perspectives. So just consider these ideas, suggestions, hypotheses from my perspective. These are only my theories that I'm offering to you for consideration. So this is a self-funded passion project that I'm doing on my own time in between other jobs. So if you like what you hear, please be sure to click like or share or pass the videos along. The more it's shared, the better I can sleep at night knowing that my sacrifices might be worth it. And continue listening. I know you're going to hear things you don't agree with. That's a given. I can't cover everything and say it all at once. So let this process come to completion. Really listen to all 9 chapters and then spend some time in consideration and research before coming to your own conclusions. It's a building process, and I designed the chapters with a chronological flow. So you may feel inclined to jump ahead to answer your burning questions, but the answers won't really make sense until you've heard the previous information. And if you don't hear anything else, at least hear me say that I love you. Thank you guys for watching. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis.